Okay, this next chapter is from my book, Underground Guide to Study Skills. This really is a book for anybody from junior high on up through grad school, all the advanced stuff. Um, so, peaking for standardized tests. Standardized tests, a good way to think of them is as an opportunity. And you want, just like an athlete peaks for a big competition, as a student, you should peak for a big test. And the key is to begin with the end in mind. Your first semester class in med school, for example, you should think of that as preparation for your boards exam at the end of your second year. Because if you think of it that way, then you'll keep track of all your study materials. For example, your midterms are just a prelim for your final exam in the semester course, and your semester finals are a prelim for your boards exam. Boards exam is the big one. And the standardized tests, people judge them as how smart you are. You know, the rest of your career, well, at least the beginning of your career, people estimate that's how smart you are. So why not make it a better number? And a lot of people say, well, you're either smart or you're not. That's actually not true. Well, I mean, there's some degree there is a question. People do have some genetic smartness. That is, of course, true. But you can make a giant improvement by preparing for these tests. When I was in high school, when I first took the SAT, I didn't care about it. I considered myself an athlete. Then I got injured afterwards, and I'm like, oh my God, I might have to get serious about school. I just bought the little paper book on my own, you know, how to study for the SAT test, and I started going through all the vocabulary word, all the math problems, and my score went up about 300 points. Because I had met these other guys who had all scored better than me, and I was jealous. I was pissed off. I'm like, why not me? That's a good thing to say to yourself. Why not me? Why can't I be the best student? Why can't I be first in the class? Why can't I win the tournament? When you start thinking like that, then you start looking for answers on how to achieve it. Okay, so that's really a key thing, because if you have that in your mind's eye, I must do my best possible performance for the standardized exam, you'll do a lot better. And people who study for tests do a lot better. When I was at Stanford, I was Student Athlete of the Year at Stanford. I got A+s in the most difficult pre-med courses. And then I think it was my junior year or my senior year. I forget exactly when it was, but a couple of guys, wanted me to join their study group. They were going to study for MCATs. And I was pretty stuck up and arrogant. I was kind of like, I was way better student than all of them. And I'm kind of like, why should I join the study group? I'm just going to be tutoring them. I'm going to be babysitting. I'm the best student. The MCAT, I considered it a joke. I'm the top dog at Stanford. Why should I pay attention to this stupid MCAT test? But the result was all of these guys, they made a long-term plan and they studied for, like a year in advance, and they all did pretty well in the MCAT. They did better than me. And I was amazed because I'm better than them at every single academic subject. But they did better than me on the MCAT because they prepared for it long-term in advance. And I learned that as a lesson. I never did that again. Looked at a standardized test as a joke. I got 99%, highest in my med school class, 333 students on my boards exam. I just crushed it. And I learned some mistakes. Like one of the mistakes you can make is when you move, you have to make sure you organize your books very clearly. It's good to put them in a clear plastic box and have a label on there. This is my biology books, my chemistry books, and whatever other subject, anatomy books, so you don't lose anything. And I would also do things like, let's say you have a question book for practice questions. Do that while you prepare for your midterm. Do it again while you prepare for your final exam. Do it again when you cover that material in some other way. Like the first year of med school, you might study the anatomy of the kidney. Okay, well, when you review the diseases of the kidney in your second year in pathology class, review that anatomy of the kidney again as you're learning the diseases of it. That way you'll have seen the material so many times that when you take the test, you'll be ready to go. And you'll use those question books. I just memorize the answer. When I get a question book, I just memorize the answers. I don't really try to test myself because that's depressing and it takes too long. I just circle all the answers and I say to myself, why is this correct? And then I just memorize it. I found that's the fastest way to go through question books. Okay, so again, I look at it as an opportunity because, like my parents were both fuzzy foreigners and I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any help in terms of preparing for college and standardized exams. And so what I'm trying to say is you're going to be competing against people that have rich parents that are from, multiple generations in America with other family members in grad school, and they've gone to the East Coast prep school. So they've got a bit of an advantage on you. But once you understand you're going to be compared to them based on the standardized test, then why not do your best to do well on the standardized tests? Because it's an opportunity to make yourself look good the rest of your life as far as that's concerned. Okay, so that was the key point. I think that's about all I got on there. Let's see if I got anything else on standardized tests. And keep your study materials. All your study subject books for a given subject should all be on the same shelf. So so you know where everything is very quickly. You can find it, and then all the other stuff is really study skills like condensed notes and stuff. And I got separate chapters on all that stuff. So, anyways, I hope that helps you for standardized tests.